Alright, it's live. Check it. I don't know why. Zoom go.
Oh, yeah, it's live. It's showing that. It's showing that. See if it's showing the right thing.
You see it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Check this
hello.
out. Hang on, let me just edit for.
Oh, let me make sure it's working. There it is. Yes, it's working. Okay, now you can turn it off. Thank you, Michael James, my 14-year-old son. It's going, bud. Okay. Introducing my new friend, attorney Ezekiel Tyson, joining us. I discovered, thank you, MJ. I discovered recently about, I want to get the name right, Community Oversight. I have it written down right here. Office of Community Police Oversight. And I just kind of want to quickly explain to everyone what it is. And I want them to know you because you are the representative for District 10.
Yes.
And you were named by Adam Magoo, selected. You guys were friends in law school, correct?
No, we met at Young Lawyers, Dallas Association of Young Lawyers.
Okay, awesome. And
Yeah.
do you happen to live in our area too?
No, I actually live downtown.
Okay.
Just been knowing him for years, and the position opened up on the prior board, the police review board.
Okay.
And he asked me to talk to the prior chairman and see if it was something I would be interested in getting involved in.
Okay, great.
And I agreed.
So, there was a prior board and it was called the Police Review Board.
Correct.
And this became new in October 2019. So you
Correct.
guys got started, city council approved the new oversight board, which has more power than the previous board, in case people were
Yes.
familiar with that. And some
Yeah.
of those new powers include subpoena and the power to, what else?
Yeah, we had subpoena power on the
Okay.
old board, but believe it or not, we had absolutely no budget. So
Okay.
even if you wanted to issue a subpoena, well, how do you pay for it? Who's going to actually make that happen? So one of the things was getting an actual budget in place, getting the director in place, which we call the monitor,
Okay.
getting her an investigator hired, office staff, and an office assistant hired, and just getting the basic bare bones of the office set up. I mean, before that, it was literally just the volunteers
Okay.
who would convene once a month and review files.
Okay, so kind of the mission has expanded and changed and been given some backup. Is that money? That money is from city council. It's city money that's okay. So it's separate from the police. And from
Mhm.
what I understand previously is that police oversaw that previous board and now it's overseen. No.
Now, they didn't oversee it. It was
Okay.
still independent of the police.
Okay.
The big difference was that we would come in on the back end of investigations after the case was done, basically.
They oversaw the
now-
investigations.
Say again?
They oversaw the investigations.
Right. Well, they still do. They still do and oversee their own internal affairs investigations and things of that nature. But this board has the power to launch an independent investigation using our own investigator if we deem it's necessary.
Okay.
So that's the difference. So that right now we have the ability to review kind of real time with them, but we can also break off and say, hey, we also need our own set of eyes to do our separate investigation. And you see that quite often with our meetings now, where we'll go back through files over the month and the director will say, or the monitor will say, I think I don't agree with DPD's finding on this. We need to launch an independent investigation.
So she is employed, the monitor is employed by the city. And
Yes.
Thursday night's town hall meeting is a chance for us to meet her and hear more about the board.
Definitely. Yeah, this is great because, I had never even heard of the police review board for years. And I've been living here since like 2004 until Adam reached out to me, Councilman Magoo, and was like, would you be interested in serving on this board? And I heard of the Parks Board and all this other stuff, but I never heard of the Police Review Board. So with that being said, now we got this brand new Oversight Board that I still think a lot of people don't know about. And that's part of the mission of the board, is to get the word out about it and to let the citizens know that there's another avenue if they feel like they've been mistreated by the police, or if they see something good that the police have done. You can also give them an attaboy, but you don't have to go through the police department. We have an independent office that's set up to say, hey, good or bad, this is something I noticed about Dallas Police Department, and you guys need to be aware of it.
I think that's awesome. And I think just getting the word out. And I know some of the people in our group are especially interested in this. Our group started right after the murder of George Floyd. So that's kind of why we came together. So, of course, that's one of our focuses. We're doing all kinds of other stuff, education and just anti-racism and housing, all kinds of enfranchisement, lots of areas, but this is one of the most important ones. And I appreciate some of the new things that our police department is doing. And I know you guys learn about those things at your meetings. You have a chance to learn about them. And I want to make sure people know they can attend virtually, or I don't know if you are going to go back to person, but
yeah, we're still virtual right now.
Which makes it easier.
Right now. Say again?
It makes it easier for people to watch.
It does. But you know what? Even before COVID, we had an option where you could tune in, you could either listen or you could watch. Yes. We always had that option.
That's right.
So hopefully, we're off this month. We don't have a meeting. Typically, the city suspends things for July. But maybe in August or September, we will be back to having in person, but we will still have that virtual angle as well.
Yeah, I think it's already on the website for August 10th. Mm-hmm. So I want our community to know we have several people in our group that kind of take turns watching that, just to make sure we know what's going on. Yes. And that we can always reach out to you for questions.
Definitely.
One of my goals is that committee, your board, would keep in mind some of the police reform ideas that other cities are using, and consider implementation of some of those. And I know you've already done a report, overseen a report. Sorry, my dog is moving underneath me. So we will publish that too. It's published on the city website, but about low level arrests. And
yes,
do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, that's going to be big. So we finally got an agreement with the police chief to not mainly not enforce or make arrests for low level marijuana offenses, which is huge and long overdue for several different reasons. One of the main reasons it's overdue is because our district attorney has for years been refusing to prosecute these cases. So, it really made no sense for our police officers to be making these arrests, spending hours and hours processing people in, when they knew on the front end they were well informed that the district attorney's office was not going to pursue the case. Yeah. So it really was pointless. And every time we do that, not only are we losing that manpower of the police officer, but we also have to pay for the marijuana to be tested.
It's a waste of resources.
Extreme waste of resource. And I don't know the exact number, but it's at least a couple $100 each time. So if you multiply that by, the thousands of marijuana arrests that were happening, it's just ridiculous. It was just ridiculous. So you had that angle. You also had the inherent disparity angle, where you just saw that the vast majority of people being arrested were minorities. And it was like, you look at drug usage amongst all people and they were like equal rates, but you had this 80-90% arrest record in Dallas and in a lot of major cities of minorities for marijuana, which just didn't make sense. So,
and the police chief agreed with that, I heard. Yeah.
Yes, thankfully.
So that's good news.
It is.
Another piece of good news people may not know about that I learned about on your last board meeting was the am I going to say it right? Right Care? No.
Right care.
Right Care.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And there's expansion happening and more money for that. And tell everyone what Right Care is.
Okay, so Right Care is a program that's set up to try to help if there's a mental illness issue to get like mental health professionals on the scene as well as police officers, and to kind of give them the lead on handling the scene. So before, I obviously before you always would send a police officer or someone called 911, but if someone was dealing with some type of psychiatric or mental illness, even though the officer may have had some training with that, obviously they're not as good as a trained professional counselor that could get in there and kind of, work with the person a little bit more and kind of diffuse the situation a little bit better from that mental health aspect, not just from a regular de-escalation aspect.
And so a person calling 911 can actually request the Right Care team.
Definitely.
So, and they come out together, and our goal is that it prevents, excessive use of force when it's not necessary, and that kind of thing. So, and those are the kind of things your board watches videos and hears reports. And I know in the last board meeting, and those are recorded, so I guess they're public. We did hear from a dad who, had he lost his son? I can't remember.
Yes. It was a situation where the young man had a replica gun, and I want to say he was on a freeway, but at that point, no one knew it was a replica gun, and he was just making some assertive gestures or something, and he wound up being killed by the police department. And but he had some mental health issues, and it kind of brought some of that to light after the fact that, what he was going through.
So I know this dad in particular was very pleased to hear that there were steps being taken in our city to protect people like this and for the right kind of people to respond to those events. So that's a good thing. I know we need more money to expand that even more. As of last month when y'all talked about it, that was only available during the daytime in certain areas. So they were working on making sure it's 24-hour and across the district.
Throughout the city. Yeah, they want to get it throughout the city. That's the goal. That's the ultimate goal.
Okay. Well, Ezekiel, tell us if we care about strong community policing, as far as building community trust, and especially with our Black and brown citizens who have a fear of being pulled over and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
What do you want us to be doing? I think oversight is a huge thing. What else? How would you want people to get involved?
Definitely. I appreciate the question. Well, there's lots of ways people can jump in and get involved. One is just attending the meetings and listening to see, kind of figuring out what the process is. Because, it's a different organization. The police department is its own animal, and it takes time for people to get to understand it and kind of see how they function. Okay. And I think that's important because one of our goals is to make recommendations on policy within the police department. So they can accept or reject these policy recommendations, but I think it helps immensely to have someone on the outside looking in, such as citizens, to say, you know what, this is a better way you guys can handle this, and it'll be better for everyone. It'll be better for you guys, and it'll be better for us. And I say that because, part of the distrust with the police department, we get a lot of complaints about discourteousness and people feeling like they were disrespected, they were talked down to, things of that nature. And sometimes it's not so much that the police officer has violated any particular policy, but when you go back and watch the body cam, or you go back and read the report, and you say, well, this could have been handled in a much different manner. And maybe it's not a regulation that the police officer tells you why he stopped you, but maybe that's something we should consider as a courtesy, just say, hey, I stopped you because blah, 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 and cut off the argument. And then the people can kind of focus on what the issue is. So the goal is to kind of get things together where it's easier for them to do their job, and it's safer for everyone else to just live and socialize and enjoy life and enjoy the wonderful city we have. So I think a big part of that is you guys tuning in and keeping posted on things and listening to the reports and listening to the cases and saying, you know what, because y'all can reach out to any of us and just shoot an email, call, and say, hey, look, I think you guys should look into this, or this is a suggestion I have on how they can change that policy or whatever. We have a policy subcommittee that we can then run things through and formulate suggestions and run it up the chain to DPD. Okay. And again, they can accept or reject it, but it gets a little more weight, I think, when it comes from our office. They have adopted some of our suggestions so far. And sometimes we can make the suggestion to DPD, and we can also send it to the city council, which again, sometimes gets a little more action or a little more attention because each one of us is appointed by the city council member. So if the majority of the group is saying, hey, we think this is something you guys should look at, that typically at least gets it on their radar and they take a look at it. Not saying that they always change things, but it gets the ball moving forward.
That's awesome. I have one more question for you. Is there support for this board, community support for the board? Is it in danger at all of the city taking it away, or can we feel confident that this is something that's going to continue?
I think there's definitely support because the way the board formed or evolved was through a lot of hard work of community organizations that came together to kind of say, hey, city council, we need something more than what we've got. It's good that we have the review board because not everyone even has that, but there's still a big gap in where we need to be in the future. And that's how the police oversight board came into being. There was just a broad coalition of people who came forward and put pressure on city council to change the ordinance or to make this new ordinance, to form this new board and empower it and give it an actual budget and some staff that could actually, get out there and do some things. So is there danger? This is what I think. I don't think there's danger of losing the board per se, but I always think that when you're dealing with budgets and you're dealing with money, you can always get like your budget cut, or you can lose funding, and that can be political, frankly.
So we as citizens and as organizations that support public safety reform need to make sure that our representatives know we want this board to have the budget it needs.
Oh, definitely. Okay. Yes, that would be very helpful.
And I know, specifically last time we were discussing how that department needed more people working in it more staff to handle the complaints.
Oh, definitely.
And to review the cases.
Yeah, it's only 3 of them. And so, and they're doing a tremendous amount of work. So if you think about it, if you go through our regular meeting, they've gone through at least, I don't know, on an average month, they're reviewing, let's say 60 to 100 complaints. And that's people calling in every day. That's people emailing, that's faxes, that's complaints coming up from DPD as well that they're reviewing. If there's a major incident, the police monitor goes to the scene 24/7. These guys are they're really working, and it's only 3 of them. It's just amazing to me that they, show up to the meetings.
So on Thursday, we get to meet them?
Yes. Well, you definitely get to meet the monitor. I don't know if she's bringing the other staff or they're going to dial in how that's going to go from their angle. But we'll have Councilman McGrew and we'll have Tanya McClary, and she'll be there to answer questions and give more information about the process and how complaints work and things of that nature, and answer any questions that may arise regarding her position and in the board itself in her office.
Great. And you'll be there too, Ezekiel?
Oh yeah, I'll definitely be there. Be there. I'm the guy in the middle pulling these.
Okay.
Pulling these guys.
Well,
together.
And I know for you, this is just a voluntary position, right?
Yes.
So
Yes,
why did you say yes to it?
You know what? The angle I do a lot of criminal defense work in my line of practice,
Okay.
and I feel like as a part of that, that's a way by being a great advocate, I can help change the system. But the avenue of change that was available, that I thought was available through the review board, is one that I was more interested in because I was more interested in the policy effect and trying to kind of fix things before they became major issues, if that makes sense. And you know, I was shocked when I actually joined the board that we didn't have as much of a voice as I would have thought, and that we had no actual budget to actually kind of put forward to even publicize, you know, the board itself and or issue subpoenas if we needed to, things of that nature. Like we're having this this meeting Thursday, but like the old board wouldn't even have the budget to say, okay, let me get a WebEx account and let me set this up and let me send out a flyer or anything like that, you know? So that's why I got involved, because I felt like the policy was a very important aspect of police oversight and helping us to just have a better society. And I often have seen where not only review board, but also my professional life, where, you know, simple misunderstandings or simple ways that the police and citizens interact turn out very negatively right here on a daily basis. And if we can cut 5-10% of that, not only we're keeping people out of jail, first of all, which we're all paying for. And we're keeping young people from being arrested and having criminal records, and having to go back and try to get a job and explain that, and or try to get it expunged, whether they have funds or not, or whether they qualify or not. So there's all these negative effects that we can try to cut off. So that's kind of what interested me about the position and why I volunteered.
Very important. Thank you so much for your time today. And I'll make sure to put a link so everybody can invite other people. And it's specifically for this area, right? District 10?
Yes, it's open to all, but
Okay.
it's like each district is hosting one.
Okay,
Or
awesome.
that's the goal, to kind of get the word out and let more people know about the board, and just, you know, put the word out there. Because again, that's one of our mandates, is to let the citizens know that this is an avenue that's available, and we're trying to do something in the city of Dallas.
Well, thank you for your efforts and your time. And I know some people may have put some questions in, so I might
Oh, okay.
I might email them to you. Okay.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Thank you so much,
Thanks.
Ezekiel. See you
Yes, thank
Thursday.
you. Yes, thank you. Good to see you, and see you Thursday night.
All
You have a
right.
good evening.
Bye.
Bye-bye.